the bond doesn't lie. That is the thing no one warns you about when you find your wolf's match. They tell you it is beautiful. They tell you it is sacred. They do not tell you that the same thread connecting two souls, the one that lets you feel his joy from across a field, his calm on a restless night, his laughter before it reaches his lips, that same thread will carry everything, every choice, every moment, even the ones that were never meant for you. Naomi Ashford felt it happen from across the great hall. She was still holding the glass Nolan Blackwood had placed in her hand himself, not 20 minutes before. His fingers had brushed hers. He had smiled, that private smile, the one that was supposed to belong only to her. She had looked down at the rim of the glass and thought, tonight it all begins. Then the bond moved. At one slow, unmistakable pulse, like a current running the wrong direction, through water she had been standing in for 3 years. Her whole body knew before her mind caught up. Her wolf went rigid. Her fingers tightened around the glass, and from somewhere across the room, she felt it. His intention, his decision, the press of his lips against a neck that was not hers. She didn't drop the glass. She didn't make a sound. She set it down, very carefully, on the edge of the nearest table. And then she stood still for exactly 3 seconds, because 3 seconds was all she allowed herself. This is the story of what came after. The great hall of the Blackwood Kingdom is not yet decorated. The torches are in their brackets at the wrong angle. Naomi has already noted this. They already made a mark in the small notebook she keeps in her coat pocket. The florist from the eastern quarter is standing 2 feet to her left, nervous, going through a list of options for the ceremonial arrangement. White lilies, blush roses, ivory wisteria. Naomi is not listening to any of it. She is standing at the center of the hall, measuring the light. In her mind, she already knows what this room will look like on the night of the ceremony. She has planned it the way she plans everything, not with decoration in mind, but with Nolan in mind, specifically with his eyes in mind, the way gold catches in them when firelight is low and slightly to the left, the way he stands taller when the room feels worthy of him, the way his jaw relaxes, just slightly, when he walks into something beautiful that he did not have to ask for. Or that is how Naomi loves, with memory, with precision, with every detail filed away like evidence that she was paying attention, even when no one was watching her watch him. She turns to the florist. I need midnight gardenias, the ones that bloom in winter, from the northern territories. The florist pauses. Those are very difficult to source this time of year. And the cost? I know what they cost, Naomi says. I need 300. She needs 300 because 8 months ago, Nolan had paused at a florist's window on the West Road. He was speaking to his second, Cade. He wasn't talking to her. He didn't know she was close enough to hear. He had looked at the winter gardenias in the display and said, in that quiet voice he used when something surprised him, "Those are something else, aren't they?" Not a question. A recognition, or like he'd just seen something he hadn't expected to find beautiful. She heard. She remembered. She had 300 shipped, because she wanted every wolf in that room breathing in something Nolan had called worth noticing. Because she was going to be standing at the center of that room. Because she was, in every way that mattered, the thing he hadn't expected to find so beautiful. Or so she believed. The week before the ceremony, she adjusts the torch brackets herself. At midnight. Alone, because the servants have gone to bed, and she doesn't want to explain what she is doing to anyone who would look at her sideways for it. She works in silence. She repositions each bracket by hand, 4 of them along the western wall, 2 on the north, until the shadows fall the way she mapped them in her notebook, until the low flame throws gold in the direction of the dais, until the room looks the way it looks inside her head. She rewrites her formal address 5 times. The 5th draft finally sounds like something he deserves to hear. The other 4 were drafts for a woman who was still asking to be chosen. The 5th one is a woman claiming her place. She keeps the 5th one. She knows which tea he takes. Nothing added. Steeped exactly 4 minutes. Served at a temperature most people would call too hot. She knows his left shoulder carries an old injury from a border dispute 3 years ago, before she arrived. The one he never mentions, but rolls slowly when he thinks no one is watching. She knows he reads contracts from the last page forward, because he told her once, laughing slightly. The real terms are always buried at the end. That anyone who signs from the front hasn't learned anything yet. She learned it. She does it now, too. She knows these things because she paid attention. Not because he asked her to. Not because it was required. Because that is the specific language of how Naomi Ashford loves. She studies the person until she knows them better than they know themselves, and then she builds the whole world around what she found. 6 months before the ceremony. The empty throne room, early spring, before the light comes fully through the high windows. Nolan is standing behind her, both of them looking out at the great hall. Bare walls, empty tables, the echo of their own breathing coming back to them from the stone. His chin rests near her temple. His arms are around her from behind. Neither of them speaks for a long moment. Then, low and steady, "Everything starts here," he says. "You and me, Naomi. That's the whole story." She closes her eyes. She feels the weight of his arms, the certainty in his voice, the warmth of the bond between them, calm and full, like a river that knows its banks. She thinks, yes, him, forever. She does not speak. She just leans back, very slightly, into the solidity of him, and he tightens his hold, just slightly, the way he does when words feel like less than what he means. She carries that moment forward into every decision she makes for the next 6 months. The gardenias, the torches, the 5th draft, the 300 flowers shipped at her own expense from the northern territories. Everything starts here. The night of the ceremony. The hall is exactly what she planned. Low gold light, the midnight gardenias on every table, their winter dark petals unfurled, the scent of them hanging soft in the cold air. The torches at the angles she calibrated, the 5th draft, folded in the inside pocket of her dress. She is standing near the east pillar, speaking with Elder Holloway, nodding at exactly the right moments. She has a glass in her hand, the one Nolan pressed into her fingers 20 minutes ago, his thumb warm on her knuckles for just a second longer than necessary. She is thinking, very quietly, in the part of her mind that runs underneath all the ceremony and performance. I built this right. And then it shifts. A warmth through the bond. Small at first. Distant. She keeps her eyes on Elder Holloway. She keeps nodding. The warmth sharpens. Her wolf stirs just at the edges, of the way it does when something is approaching that it hasn't named yet. Nolan is across the room. She can feel his direction through the bond, the way you feel the sun without looking at it. A general warmth, a presence she has learned to locate without searching. He stepped into the side corridor 15 minutes ago. She noted the direction. She told herself it was pack business, a private word with one of the regional elders, nothing unusual. Then the bond moves. One slow pulse, unmistakable, a mark passing through their connection like a stone thrown into still water. The rings spreading outward, each one telling her something she doesn't want to know. Not her neck, not her bond. Somewhere else entirely. Deliberate. Done. Her jaw locks. Her hand goes flat against the table beside her. Not gripping, just still, just steadying. As she breathes once, twice, she looks directly at Elder Holloway and says, without any alteration in her expression, "I apologize. Would you excuse me for just a moment?" She steps away. She sets the glass down. She presses her hands flat against her thighs for exactly 3 seconds. Then she lifts her head. Nolan walks back in from the side corridor. He is straightening his jacket. His expression is composed. The Alpha King's expression, the one built for public rooms. Sienna Ravencrest is at his shoulder. Dark hair, composed face, a fresh mark just visible above the collar of her dress. The kind of mark that doesn't happen by accident, doesn't happen in passing, only happens when someone decides. The Great Hall doesn't go silent. It goes careful. 30 wolves who understand what they're seeing, what all of them making the same small choice. Look at Naomi. Look away. Look at Naomi again. Waiting for the collapse. Ready for the spectacle. Some of them pitying. Some of them curious. All of them watching. Naomi gives them nothing. Her face holds. Not because she isn't feeling it. She is feeling everything. The whole full weight of it moving through her like the current of that mark. Wrong direction, wrong name. But because she has been in public rooms for 3 years, and she knows exactly how much she owes this audience. Nothing. Sienna Ravencrest crosses the room. She stops 2 feet away. Her fingers drift to the mark above her collar, not to hide it, to make sure Naomi sees it. "You built something beautiful," she says softly. Her voice is almost kind. "He just decided to give it to someone else." A beat of silence. Naomi looks at her. She does not rush the moment. She takes it in. The mark, the composed expression, the careful cruelty dressed up as sympathy. And then she says, without raising her voice, "The gardenias were my idea. So was everything else in this room. Every torch, every arrangement, every detail you are standing inside right now. I built all of it. Remember that when you're trying to figure out what comes next. You inherited my work. You didn't replace me." She sets down her glass. She walks out of her own ceremony. She does not look back. Outside the Great Hall, the cold comes immediately. It hits her bare shoulders and she doesn't react to it. She lets it land. She walks down the stone steps and keeps walking until she reaches the east garden wall, and then she sits, or because her legs have decided that standing is no longer the priority. She puts both hands flat on her knees. She looks at them. Her fingers are trembling. Not much, barely visible, but she can feel it. She waits for them to stop. Through the heavy doors behind her, the ceremony noise continues. Voices, movement, the low hum of a pack that is doing what packs do when something shifts, folding around the new shape of things, adjusting, accommodating. She can hear it even here. The sound of everyone deciding who Naomi Ashford is now. She decides before any of them can. There is a supply table in the side courtyard, set for the reception staff, not the guests, tucked behind the auxiliary entrance where deliveries come and go. She finds it without searching. She has organized every logistical detail of this event, including the staff station points, including which bottles go where. She asks the young attendant for whatever is strongest. He looks at her, at the ceremony dress, at the way she is carrying herself like a woman who needs to carry herself very carefully right now. and he hands her a glass of the darkest thing on the table without another word. Smart boy. She drinks it standing, alone. Above the low garden wall, just visible in the dark, are the winter gardenias from the northern terrace, her idea, her arrangement, her 300 flowers still breathing their cold, sweet scent into the air for a man who did not pause at them once tonight. She waited for it. She noticed, even in the middle of all of it, she noticed that he walked past the east table twice and did not stop, did not breathe in, did not look. What one tear forms at the corner of her left eye, she catches it before it falls, presses her lips together, looks straight ahead at the winter gardenias. That is her limit. One. Not from grief, or not only from grief, from the specific, terrible knowledge that she had given everything she had to offer, and he had not even seen it. She does not hear him arrive. The temperature doesn't drop. There is no dramatic shift in the air, no warning from her wolf, only a presence, gradually, at the far edge of her awareness. She looks up. He is at the far end of the courtyard, standing against the stone wall, not performing stillness, just still, the way certain people are still, like the quiet is native to them, and the noise is the intrusion. Tall, dark jacket, collar open, no ceremony in his dress or his bearing. He is not supposed to be here. Oh, she knows his face. Every pack in 3 territories knows his face. Riker Storm, Alpha of Iron Ridge, the man Nolan Blackwood banned from Kingdom grounds 18 months ago after a border dispute that never fully resolved. The man whose name Nolan removed from every official correspondence, every diplomatic register, every list of invited guests for the past year and a half. He is standing in the side courtyard of Nolan's kingdom, eating an apple, and looking at the garden like he has nowhere to be, and no particular concern about the fact that he absolutely isn't supposed to be here. Naomi looks at him for a long moment. He doesn't look back with pity. He doesn't arrange his face into something careful. He just looks at her. Directly. The way you look at someone you've been thinking about. A full minute passes. Neither of them speaks. Then, without preamble, "You don't have to go back in," he says. His voice is low, even, the kind of voice that doesn't need volume because it already has weight. "I know," she says. "I'm not asking you to leave either." A beat. "That's not why I'm here." She studies his face. There is no agenda visible, no transaction being set up, no offer waiting underneath the surface of the words. Just a man sitting on a wall in a place he has no right to be, saying something honest. "Why are you here?" she asks. He considers this for a moment. Not performing consideration, actually thinking. "I read a report," he says finally. 3 weeks ago. I decided not to do nothing." She doesn't ask what report. Something in her wolf goes very still, attentive, pointed in his direction. She will understand it later. Right now she just looks at him. The jaw, the steadiness, the scar along his right forearm where his sleeve is pushed back, the way he holds his stillness like it costs him nothing at all. "I'm Naomi," she says. "I know." He doesn't repeat it back. No performance of formality. Just acknowledgement, direct and settled, like her name is a thing he already knew the weight of. She doesn't leave with him. Not yet. She goes back inside. Not for Nolan. Not to confront. Not to explain. Not to perform devastation for an audience that is already looking. She goes back for exactly 3 things. Her personal correspondence seal, from the 3rd drawer of her study desk, her case files, the current advisory contracts, the regional compact amendments she has been drafting for 2 months, and the photograph of her mother, kept in the top left drawer, or the one her mother pressed into her hand the morning Naomi left for the kingdom 3 years ago. "So you remember where your real ground is," her mother had said. She remembers now. She takes the photograph and presses it flat against her chest for one full breath. Then she tucks it into her files and walks back out. He is still there. He hasn't moved. Same wall, same stillness, the apple gone, his hands at rest. He doesn't ask what she took. He doesn't ask what comes next. He just opens the side gate, the one that runs along the east garden wall, the maintenance entrance, the one that leads directly to the road that borders the kingdom's east edge. She walks through it. He follows. Dawn comes slowly to the Iron Ridge border lodge. The light moves in from the east, grey first, then the pale gold of early morning, depressing through windows that face the forest. The fire in the sitting room has been out for hours. Naomi is awake before the room is fully light. She sits up, reaches for her shoes, finds them, reaches for her coat. It isn't there. She is wearing his. Heavy, dark wool, slightly too long on her, smelling of cedar and something older underneath. Something her wolf has been so quietly moving toward since the courtyard, like a compass finding north. She stands at the window in his coat, looking out at the tree line, and makes a decision. She's going back. Not for Nolan. Not to beg or explain or give him the satisfaction of watching her leave properly. She's going back because she built something at that kingdom, not the ceremony, not the gardenias, not the version of herself that loved Nolan Blackwood. She built a role. She holds the title of Senior Kingdom Counsel on merit, on competence, on 3 years of work that has nothing to do with the bond and everything to do with who she actually is. That role belongs to her. The compact files in her briefcase belong to her. The work belongs to her. No one gets to erase that without her knowing it first. She arrives at the kingdom gates in the ceremony dress and Riker's coat. The 2 gate guards straighten when they see her. They look at the coat. They look at her face. They look at the coat again. They step aside. She walks through the great hall, past the midnight gardenias, still in their vases on every table. No one has touched them. Someone should have cleared them. No one did. She doesn't stop to look. She notices them the way you notice something you built with your hands. Briefly, completely, and without stopping. Her access code on the study door reads red. She tries the manual lock. It opens. They changed the code, but not the physical lock. An oversight, the kind that happens when someone acts in a hurry, when the erasure was planned, but the execution was rushed. Telling. Her nameplate has been moved from the door, not thrown, set aside carefully on the floor beside the frame, like someone removed it without fully deciding what to do with it, like they couldn't quite bring themselves to throw it away. She picks it up. She sets it on her desk, face up. She sits down. She opens the first file. She gets to work. He finds her 40 minutes later. Nolan enters without knocking. He never knocks. This room has always been his kingdom. Every room in it has always been his in some fundamental way. He crosses the threshold and stops. His nostrils flare. Involuntary. He places the cedar before he places the coat. His expression shifts, from the controlled face he wears in public rooms to something older and less managed, something that looks almost like possession. Who touched you? Not a question. She looks up from her files. Her voice, when it comes, is even. You marked another woman at our ceremony. Silence sits between them like a third person in the room. You're still mine, he says. And the terrible thing, the thing that makes her want to press her hands flat on the desk and breathe, is that he means it. He genuinely means it. He marked Sienna Ravencrest at their ceremony, and he is standing in front of Naomi right now, genuinely believing she is still his. The arithmetic of him is that simple and that devastating. While she stands, she faces him. Then act like it. He has nothing. She watches it move across his face. The moment he realizes that "you're still mine" is not an answer to what she just said, that it has never been an answer, that there is no version of this where those words make what he did acceptable. She watches him reach for the next thing and find the shelf empty. She lets the silence run for a moment, and then something in her voice drops half a register. Not louder. Quieter. The kind of quiet that carries further. "I had 300 gardenias shipped from the Northern Territory," she says, "because 8 months ago you paused at a florist's window and said they smelled like something worth keeping. You weren't even talking to me. You didn't know I was close enough to hear." She pauses. "You walked past the east table twice last night. You didn't stop. You didn't look at them once." The room is completely still. "Close the door on your way out." She picks up her pen. He stands there for 3 more seconds. She counts them without looking up. Then she hears him move, hears the door pull gently behind him, hears his footsteps recede down the corridor until there is nothing left. She sets the pen down. She puts both hands flat on the desk. She breathes. In through the nose, slowly. Out through the mouth. Once. Then she picks the pen back up. Later, alone in the quiet study, she lets herself think about the morning. The cold lodge. The dead fire. The coat. He had been awake when she rose. She felt it. The way you can feel when a person is awake in the same room, even if they are not moving. He lay still. He did not ask where she was going. He did not ask when she would come back. He did not make it complicated. She had stood at the window in his coat for 5 minutes, making her decision, and he had simply let her. No pressure. No performance of understanding. No words at all. He had given her the space to decide, and the quiet to decide in. And when she walked toward the door, he had said, from behind her without moving, "There's a car at the gate. Tell them Riker sent you. They'll take you wherever you need to go." That was all. A man who keeps his word, even when keeping it costs him something. A man who understood, before she said it, that what she needed was not to be followed. It was to be trusted. Her wolf goes quiet in a way it hasn't been in weeks. Not sad, not restless. Just quiet. Or the way something goes quiet when it has found the direction it was looking for. At the end of the day, she opens her desk drawer. She lifts the nameplate, Naomi Ashford, Senior Kingdom Counsel, and she looks at it for 1 moment. Then she places it inside. Face up. Not hidden. Not discarded. Kept. She closes the drawer. She returns to the contract file. There is work to do. In those 3 weeks, Naomi runs the kingdom's advisory functions with the precision of a woman who has nothing left to prove and every reason to finish what she started. She files the Harrow contract amendments on time. She reviews the regional trade agreements. She sits in 3 council sessions and presents her assessments clearly and without editorializing. And each time she finishes, the room is quiet for just a moment longer than it needs to be. The specific quiet of people reassessing someone they had already written off. Good. She does not think about Riker Storm directly. She thinks about the border lodge. She thinks about cedar and the particular quality of a fire that's been out long enough to leave no heat but still smells like warmth. She thinks about the car at the gate and the fact that it was there, already arranged, before she had decided she was going anywhere. She does not put his name to any of this. She just carries it the way you carry something you are not yet ready to name. His coat is on the reading chair in her private study. She has not returned it. She tells herself this is because the logistics are inconvenient. She does not examine that claim very hard. The compact notice arrives through official channels on a Tuesday morning. Nolan's seal. Formal filing. Kingdom Compact. Section 12, subsection 3. A provision that strips advisory rank from any unbonded counsel operating within the King's Court, effective with 90 days' notice from the date of formal filing. She reads it 3 times. Not because it is complicated. It is actually very simple. It is simple in the way that a door closing in your face is simple, clean, final, requiring no further explanation. He is not ending their bond publicly. He is not confronting her. He is not having a conversation. He is filing paperwork, bureaucratic language in a formal document, passed through official channels without warning, without a word. He is erasing her from the legal record. Quietly, like adjusting a margin. She sits with the filing for a long moment. Her hands are flat on the desk. She looks at the ceiling. She thinks about the calculation, the arithmetic of it, the cold, clean logic of a man who decided she was a variable to be removed rather than a person to be spoken to. Not passion. Not another woman pulling him in a direction he couldn't resist. Arithmetic. That is the thing that finally breaks open the part of her she has been holding closed. Not the mark at the ceremony. Not Sienna Ravencrest's fingers at her collar. This, the formal filing, the official seal, the 90 days. She was a risk he calculated. And then he quietly adjusted his position. She opens a blank document. She begins drafting her counter-brief. Not a letter to Nolan. Not an appeal. A legal counter-argument, section by section, clause by clause, because she read the Kingdom Compact from the last page forward 2 years ago, and she already knows what he missed. Her wolf stops mourning in that exact moment. It starts watching the border. That evening, a document arrives with no greeting and no signature. Just a territory seal she has to look at twice before she places it. Iron Ridge, Riker's domain. 1 page, 4 words beneath a page number. Read section 12 carefully. She stares at it for a long moment. She already found it. He didn't know that. He sent this because he assumed she might not have time. That in the flood of the days following a public betrayal, in the noise of a court adjusting its loyalties around a new shape, she might miss a compact filing buried in official channels. He sent it because he was paying attention to her vulnerability, not her strength. Her vulnerability, the specific point at which she could be hurt without knowing it was coming. And he moved to cover that point before she asked him to. She sits with this for a long time. The next morning, she goes to the Kingdom Archive. She pulls the full Kingdom Compact from the shelf, the original, not her working copy. She checks the return record. Riker Storm's personal seal. 6 months ago. Before the ceremony. Before the filing. Before any of it. She opens to section 12. It is already marked. A small, precise bracket in pencil next to the provision, drawing a line to the subsection that links it to the 90-day clause. The exact connection that would have taken her another week to find under pressure. Not highlighted. Not annotated with explanation. Just bracketed. Quietly. By a man who read it from the last page forward, the same way she does, and understood before anyone had told him anything that this was the piece that would matter. He found it before she needed it. He held it until she did. She stands very still in the archive for a long moment. Her hand moves, without her deciding it, to the lapel of his coat, still around her shoulders, still exactly cedar and something older, still pointing her wolf in a direction that has nothing to do with the kingdom she is standing in. She pulls the coat slightly tighter. Then she goes back to her study, opens a message channel, types the Iron Ridge territory code, and types exactly one line. Section 12. I found it. I read it twice. She sends it before she can think too much about what that means. Later in the week, she crosses Nolan in the corridor. He slows. He opens his mouth. She keeps walking. And then it happens. So quietly, she almost misses it. She walks past him, and there is nothing. Not faint, not altered, not reduced. Simply absent. The way a fire goes out while you're in another room, and you walk back in, and the warmth is just gone, and the smell is ash, and you understand it all at once. She cannot feel him through the bond. She does not stop walking. She turns the corner. She presses her back against the wall and breathes once, twice. She waits for grief to arrive, and it doesn't. What arrives instead is something cleaner, a kind of quiet that feels less like loss and more like space. Like a sound has been going in the background for so long she forgot it was there, and now it's stopped, and she can finally hear herself. Her wolf does not mourn it. It is already pointed somewhere else. That night, in his border lodge across the territory line, Riker reads her message once, sets the tablet face down on the desk, picks it up again, reads it once more. His second, Cade, is in the doorway with a logistics brief. Adjust the security rotation on the Ashford route, Riker says, without looking up, and we leave a day early for the regional assembly. Cade looks at him. The assembly isn't for another 2 weeks. I know. A pause. Any particular reason? Riker sets the tablet down. Several. Cade does not ask which ones. He makes a note and goes. She feels him before the car clears the gate. She is in her study, at the window with a contract file she stopped reading 20 minutes ago. Her wolf stills, not tensing, not alarmed, but just that specific stillness from the East Courtyard 6 weeks ago, the stillness of recognizing something before it announces itself. Then the iron gates open, and the car rolls through, and she takes one step back from the window, which is already one step closer than she should have allowed herself. He steps out first. He scans the courtyard, sight lines, entry points, the quiet, systematic sweep of a man who never stops reading his environment. His second, Cade, does the same on the other side of the vehicle. Then Riker looks up at the building. His gaze moves with the same deliberate pace. West wing, east staircase, upper floors. And then it lands on her window. He holds it there for exactly 2 seconds. She takes one more step back. Her wolf makes a sound she has no language for. She doesn't go down immediately. She changes. Not for him. She is specific about this in her own mind. But she changes the ceremony remnants out of her dress and into the deep charcoal that makes her look like what she is. A woman with standing, with work, with a legal brief tucked under her arm and somewhere important to be. She fixes her hair. She picks up her folders. She leaves his coat on the reading chair. She leaves it. She leaves it on purpose. She walks out of the study without it. She is halfway down the corridor before she goes back. She picks it up. She does not put it on. She carries it over her arm like it is simply an item she is transporting from one place to another. This is completely convincing to no one, including her. She smells him before she sees him. At the bottom of the entrance staircase, cutting through the stale air of a court that has been breathing the same recirculated politics for 3 weeks, cedar, and that older note beneath it, clean and direct, and completely out of place in this building. like a window opening in a room that forgot what outside felt like. She turns the corner into the entrance hall. He is at the far end, Cade beside him, both of them in conversation with one of Nolan's administrative staff. He looks up. They both go still. Neither moves. For just a moment, the entrance hall is only the two of them, 20 feet of stone between them, and the particular quality of a silence that happens when two people recognize the same thing at the same time. Then he says something to Cade, low, and walks toward her. She doesn't step back. He stops 2 feet away. His eyes move over her. Quickly, completely, of the way he reads a contract. Then he says, "Angel." He stops himself. Immediately. "Naomi." She files that away without letting it touch her face. "You're early." "Yes." "The assembly isn't until tomorrow." "I know." A pause. His expression gives nothing away. "Security considerations," he says. "Of course," she says. She adjusts the coat over her arm. She moves to pass him. His hand finds the small of her back. Barely. Just 3 seconds. The same touch as 6 weeks ago beside a dying fire. And then it's gone, and she is walking, and her fingers have tightened on the folder, and the cedar is still everywhere. The formal welcome dinner is precisely what it needs to be. Tedious, political, and long. 8 regional representatives, 3 members of Nolan's inner council, Sienna Ravencrest at the secondary table, and introduced as the King's chosen Luna, which is the first official use of that title in a public setting, and which every wolf in the room registers without comment. Naomi sits where her nameplate has always been, at the primary table, in the seat that belongs to Senior Kingdom Council. She is not the King's chosen Luna. She is the woman who drafted the trade amendment that 3 of the 8 regional representatives are quietly benefiting from this year. She knows this. They know this. The distinction matters. She presents her quarter review update in the second half of the dinner. 12 minutes, clear, precise, no excess. 2 of the regional alphas lean forward at the section on compact amendments. One of them asks a follow-up question that tells her he has been studying the same material she has. She adjusts the answer accordingly. She sees Riker, 6 seats down, turn slightly in her direction as she does. She keeps talking. She does not look at him again. After the dinner, she steps out to the East Garden. He follows without being invited, and without pretending he wasn't going to, which she respects more than she is prepared to say. They walk for a while. No agenda, no performance. The cold is clean and the gardenias are gone from the outdoor tables. Someone finally cleared them, a week after they should have been, and the garden is just stone and winter grass and the sound of the tree line beyond the wall. Then she asks, "Why did you mark the margin 6 months ago?" He walks 3 more paces before he answers. "Because I read contracts from the last page forward," he says. "Same as you. And I wanted to make sure you found it before it cost you something." She looks at him. "You didn't know me 6 months ago." "I knew enough," he says quietly. The words sit between them in the cold air. She looks forward at the garden wall. He keeps his eyes on the path. "That's not a small thing," she says finally, finding something before someone needs it, holding it until they do. "No," he agrees. "It isn't." Later in the walk, without transition, he stops. They are at the far end of the garden, near the old stone seat that nobody uses. He looks at the wall for a moment, then at the ground, then, like someone who has decided something, at her. "Her name was Fallon," he says. Naomi doesn't move. "We mated young, early winter, the kind of year where the first snow comes before you're ready for it." He pauses. "She went into labor in the 3rd month of winter." There were complications from the start. The midwife asked her if she wanted me in the room. Fallon said she'd do better without me there. My anxiety made her more anxious. She needed calm, and I wasn't calm enough. He stops. His voice doesn't change. It stays even, low, completely controlled. I said, "All right." Naomi waits. I stood outside that door for 6 hours. I could hear everything. Then I heard my daughter cry. He pauses for a long moment. And then Fallon went quiet. He stops walking. He faces the garden wall. I knew before the door opened. I already knew. Silence. "I've never said that out loud to anyone," he says. Naomi looks at him. Really looks. At the line of his jaw. At the stillness in him that is not blankness, but depth. The kind of depth that comes from carrying something heavy and learning to carry it quietly. "I know," she says softly. He looks at her. "How?" "Because you said all right to her when she asked you to wait. You loved her enough to stand in that corridor for 6 hours when everything in you wanted to be inside that room. And then she was gone and you never told anyone, because telling anyone would mean asking them to understand why you did it. And you don't think anyone would understand." A breath. "You've been carrying that word for years, all right, like it was the wrong answer." He is very still. "It wasn't," Naomi says. "You gave her what she asked for. That's all." His hand finds hers, not reaching, just there, alongside hers, and then their fingers settle. She doesn't look down. He doesn't either, or they just keep looking at the garden, at the cold wall, at the winter sky over the tree line. His grip tightens once. She lets it. Back inside, third-floor corridor, she passes the window that looks out over the entrance approach. Nolan's silhouette. Still, looking down at the garden. She has been watched. She knows this. She knew it before she went out, and she went anyway, because she is done making her choices around Nolan Blackwood's line of sight. She keeps walking. The warmth of the walk stays with her. His voice, the word "all right," the way his hand found hers without asking. She carries it like something she's not ready to put down. Tomorrow will ask for something different. She will be ready. Naomi is already at the primary table when the first regional alphas file in. Her brief is open. Her counterargument is structured in 5 points, cross-reference to 4 compact provisions, with a 1-page summary that any alpha in the room can follow without a law background. Sienna Ravencrest is placed at the secondary table. End position. Unregistered guest protocol, not primary party standing. Naomi filed the seating chart through Mrs. Holloway 3 days ago. It was confirmed. It stands. She opens her folder without looking at Nolan. She presents the counterbrief on section 12 herself. 12 minutes. No excess. She lays out the provision, the subsection, and the specific clause that Nolan's filing failed to satisfy. The one that requires the compact provision to be invoked in conjunction with a formal bond status review, conducted by a neutral assembly advisor, not unilaterally by the Alpha King. The assembly advisor is a quiet man named Elder Gideon, who has been running these proceedings for 20 years, listens with his hands folded. When she finishes, he looks down at the page for 30 seconds. Then he looks up. We accept the counterterms. He had been prepared to negotiate. He couldn't find the leverage. He closes his folder. 2 of the regional alphas shift in their seats. Not in discomfort, but in the specific way people shift when they are recalibrating someone. Who is this woman? And why did we think she was already gone? Naomi sits back down. Riker, 6 seats down the primary table, does not look at her. His expression is entirely neutral, but he turns his water glass once, slowly, which she has learned is the thing he does when something satisfies him, and he doesn't plan to say so. The midday break passes. The room reconvenes, slower, the edges of formality slightly softened by food and an hour away from the table. Nolan rises. He places both palms on the table, the gesture of a man who has been waiting to control the room and is finally claiming his moment. His voice is measured, authoritative. He invokes Article 9 of the Regional Compact, the provision that allows an Alpha's chosen Luna to hold formal rank regardless of prior bond status, provided the original bond is faded or relinquished. The room settles. From 6 seats down, Riker speaks without raising his voice or standing up. Article 9, subsection 4. Nolan's jaw tightens slightly. Riker continues, tone completely level. The prior bond must be formally severed or mutually relinquished before rank transfer is legally binding. Has it been? By mutual relinquishment. 32 pairs of eyes move toward Naomi. No, she says. Flat. Complete. Nolan pivots immediately, suggests the Assembly Council has authority to determine bond status and make the determination. Riker doesn't raise his voice. Relinquishment belongs to the bonded party, not the Council, not the Assembly Advisor. He looks directly at Nolan, across the long table. Not you. No one at the table moves to help Nolan. No one meets his eyes. The room has made its assessment. Nolan's voice drops half a register, that particular drop that happens when possession turns into pressure. Then I'll take what the bond already gave me. Riker looks at him, still, unhurried. Try. One word. No volume at all. The kind of certainty that doesn't need performance. The air in the room tightens. Elder Gideon begins to speak. But Nolan is already pushing back from the table. The formal challenge happens in the main courtyard. The 32 Alphas form the witness ring within the hour. Naomi stands at the perimeter. Her mother and father arrived that morning. She doesn't know exactly how Riker's people arranged that. She didn't ask. She just walked into the entrance hall and there they were, and her mother pulled her in without saying anything. And that was enough. Her father stands on one side of her, Cade on the other, which is its own kind of statement. Nolan moves first, fast, burning with certainty, absolutely sure. The first hit lands. Riker takes it and resets without retreating. The second, the third. Each one absorbed, steady, no stumble, like a man measuring. Her wolf watches without moving. And then something shifts in Riker's expression. Small, but visible only to someone paying close attention. He has what he needed. He has measured the reach, the speed, the pattern. Every charge Nolan makes now costs more than the last. The ring is very quiet. One opening. Riker steps inside the overextension. 2 precise movements, not brutal, not drawn out. Exactly enough. Nolan hits the stone. He does not rise. Riker steps back immediately. He doesn't stand over him. He doesn't perform the moment. He rolls his sleeves back down. He takes his jacket from Cade, who is already holding it. 2 Alphas at the ring's edge exchange a quiet glance. Then both turn, deliberately, and look toward Riker. No announcement. No ceremony. Just 32 people in a ring who all understand what has happened. Power shifts like weather. You don't see it arrive. You just feel the temperature change. He walks straight to her. The ring opens as he moves through it. He stops in front of her. His voice is low. Just for her. Are you ready? She looks at him. Then she looks at the room, at the hall behind her, at the table she organized, at the entrance with its empty vase hooks, where the gardenias finally came down. At the 3 years of herself she left in these walls. Almost, she says. Give me an hour. He nods. I'll be outside. No pressure, no performance. Just, I'll be there. She turns and walks back in. Sienna Ravencrest is in the entrance hall. She is already dressed for travel, a bag near the door. She looks up when Naomi enters, and for a moment, something in her face goes unguarded, not triumph, not cruelty, something that looks like recognition, or like two people who have both been in the same story, but on different sides of it, and are standing at the end of it together. Naomi stops. She holds Sienna's gaze. She does not give her contempt. It would be too simple, and Naomi does not do simple things with complicated people. She does not give her apology either, because she has nothing to apologize for. She just looks at her. Fully. Once. Then she walks past, up the stairs to her study. She has 1 hour. 1 hour. She moves through the kingdom with purpose, not speed. Each stop deliberate. Each goodbye given its proper weight. First stop, the study. She closes the last open file. She places the counterbrief, her complete counter-argument, all 5 points, all 4 cross-references, and the 1-page summary, into the red folder she has labeled with a single name, Delaney. Delaney Wilder, her junior counsel, 26 years old, the sharpest researcher on the advisory staff, and the only person who has never once tried to tell Naomi what she thinks Naomi wants to hear. She has been watching and learning and is ready, whether she knows it yet or not. Naomi opens her desk drawer. She lifts the nameplate, Naomi Ashford, Senior Kingdom Counsel, and she holds it for one quiet moment. She studies the letters. She thinks about the woman who earned that title, about the 3 years of late nights and early mornings and meticulous attention, and 5 rewrites of a speech she never gave. She sets the nameplate on the desk, face up, not in a drawer, not taken with her. Left, for whoever earns it next. Then she picks up the red folder and goes to find Delaney. She finds her in the East Corridor. They're reviewing files, exactly where she should be, exactly when she should be there, because Delaney is the kind of person who is always where the work is. The Harrow escalation files, Naomi says, the seasonal contract renewals, the regional compact follow-up from today's assembly, all of the red folders, everything I was going to draft this week. It's yours now. Delaney takes the folder. She looks at it. She looks at Naomi, and then her eyes fill, because she is 26, and she is smart enough to understand what she is being handed. You taught me, she says. 2 years ago, you told me the kingdom runs on the people who pay attention. Naomi reaches out, squeezes her hand once, firm, brief, complete. You pay attention, she says. You'll be fine. Better than fine. Delaney nods. She presses her lips together. She opens the red folder, and, because she is exactly the person Naomi believed her to be, she starts reading. Her parents are in the entrance hall. Her father is standing near the main doors, arms at his sides, quiet, watching the courtyard through the glass, where Riker's car is visible at the east gate. He is doing the specific kind of watching that fathers do when they are deciding something about someone who matters to their child. Riker is standing beside the car. He sees her father watching. He doesn't look away, doesn't perform casualness, doesn't adjust his posture. He just holds it steady and direct, the exact quality of stillness that is neither aggressive nor deferential, just honest. Her father watches for a long moment. Then he steps forward. He opens the main door. He walks to the courtyard. He extends his hand. Riker shakes it. The grip holds 1 second longer than formal courtesy requires. That second is everything it is her father saying. I see you, and I am not unsatisfied with what I see. Naomi's mother pulls her close before she can watch it end. No speech, no long instructions or warnings or careful advice. Just the weight of her arms, the smell of home, the particular warmth of a mother who trusts her daughter, but wanted her to know she doesn't have to carry everything alone. "Call me," her mother says. "I will. I mean the next morning, not next week." "I know." A breath. "I know, Mom." Her mother holds her face in both hands for exactly 2 seconds. Then she lets go. She does not cry, because neither of them cries in public, and the front steps of a king's court counts as public. But her eyes carry everything she isn't saying, and Naomi reads all of it. She almost reaches the main door without seeing him. Almost. He is at the end of the East Hall. Nolan. Standing at the corridor's edge where the light changes, where the formal wing meets the private quarters she no longer has access to. He looks different. Not defeated, not broken. Diminished, in a way that has nothing to do with the courtyard and everything to do with the way he is looking at her now, like he is only just, in this moment, understanding the specific thing he chose to lose. She pauses. She does not fully turn. "You should have chosen me," he says. Not possessive now, quiet, almost honest. She considers this for a moment. "I did," she says. Her voice is even. "For 3 years. Every single day, I chose you. Every arrangement, every file, every draft, every detail, I chose you before you asked me to." She stops. The gardenias are still in the storage room off the east corridor. They kept them. Someone on the staff didn't have the heart to throw them out. A pause. Look at them when you walk past. Remember what it looks like when someone chooses you, and learn to recognize it before it's gone. She starts forward. He says her name. She does not stop. Not because she is cold. Not because she doesn't feel the weight of it. But because there is a car at the east gate, and a man who found a marginalia note in a library before she needed it, and her mother is on the front steps watching her walk, and she is done making herself small inside other people's stories. The cold hits her shoulders the moment she pushes through the main doors. She inhales once, slowly, all the way down. She can feel the space in her chest where the bond used to sit, that particular frequency she learned to move with for 3 years. It is quiet now. Not painful, not empty. Quiet, the way a room goes quiet after a long party full of evidence of what happened there, but finally, still. Riker is beside the car, hands in his pockets. He doesn't ask what took the full hour. He doesn't ask what she said to Nolan, or what she left behind, or whether she is sure. He opens the car door. Her father, still on the front steps, gives Riker one final nod. Personal, not formal man-to-man. The nod that means, take care of what you're taking. Riker returns it the same way. Her mother watches her daughter's face, and something in her own face settles, the way a question settles when it finally gets answered. Naomi gets in. The kingdom gates pass. Then the outer wall. Then the tree line that borders the eastern road. She watches it all move past the window, the last of the familiar stone, the last of the torchlight from the east towers, the last of the world she built for a man who calculated her out of it. She watches it until it is gone, and there is only forest road and dark sky and the warmth of the car in the cold night. 10 minutes from the border. Something shifts so quietly she almost mistakes it for imagination. A frequency she has been carrying for 3 years, thin now, thinning further, the way a signal fades as you drive away from its source. The Ashford bond, pulling loose, strand by strand, the way old rope goes when the tension finally releases, not severed, not painful, not the rupture she might have feared 6 months ago. Just letting go. Like a breath you have been holding since winter, finally exhaled. She looks out the window. The Iron Ridge border markers are just visible in the headlights. Stone pillars on each side of the road, carved with the storm lineage sigil, older than the treaty, older than the dispute, older than any of this. The trees on this side are darker, older, pressing close on both sides of the road with the particular feeling of a forest that has been here long enough to be a thing unto itself. Her wolf lifts its head, not with urgency, with recognition, with the slow, settling knowledge of something arriving at the place it has been moving toward. Riker turns slightly in the seat beside her. He doesn't reach for her hand. He doesn't announce anything. He just turns and looks at her. That direct, unhurried look that she has come to understand is the only way he looks at things he considers worth looking at. "Are you sure?" he asks, not claiming, offering. The question is a door, not a demand, and she loves him for knowing the difference in this moment. With her wolf still settling and the border just ahead, and 3 years of a different life finally quieting behind her, she looks at him fully. She lets herself look, the way she didn't let herself in the courtyard, or the lodge, or the garden walk, or any of the other moments she was so careful to hold at arm's length. She looks at his face, the steadiness, the depth, the particular quality of a man who found a marginalia note before she needed it and held it without making a thing of it. A man who arranged a car at a gate before she asked. A man who said all right to the woman he loved and stood in the corridor and kept his word until the last second of it. "I've thought about it," she says. A pause. The car moves. The border markers pass on both sides of them. "Twice," she adds. Something shifts in his expression, barely. That specific barely their warmth that she has seen exactly 3 times now, each time when he wasn't managing it fast enough. He turns forward. She turns forward too. Her hand moves, not thinking about it, not deciding, just moving to the lapel of his coat on her shoulders. Still exactly cedar, and something older, still pointing her wolf in the only direction it wants to go. She doesn't pull the coat tighter, she just rests her fingers against the lapel. Still, settled. He doesn't comment, he doesn't need to. The road opens ahead of them, dark and wide, cutting through the old forest into Iron Ridge territory, into whatever comes next, into a story that is finally beginning to tell itself in her own language. She exhales. She is ready.